this feeds right into the other story I wanted to get to today. We have had several investors who own properties that are wanting to sell. They feel like the market is at a high and they're going, okay, I'm ready to sell my rental. So selling a rental that still has a tenant in place. So we wanted to cover that because the questions come up a couple of times now with people who've reached out to us saying, well, how do I sell this property when I've got a lease in place and a tenant there? So let's cover that quickly. I know we don't have too much time left this week.
No, that's a great question. And I think that the first answer is if you have a lease in place, you can sell your property if you have a tenant in there with the lease in place. Thing is, you can't break that lease.
Right. So the new buyer needs to honor the lease. So if it's got 6 months or 8 months to go and somebody wants to live in the house, they would need to honor that lease. So the loan, if there's a loan to buy it, would need to be as an investment loan, not as a primary residence if you can't move in right away. A lot of times what we find is you're getting, our investors are getting close to the end of the lease terms and they're going, we're 2 or 3 months out. The house is going to be coming up, the lease is going to be expiring. We'd like to make sure to sell it when that happens. We don't want to have to pay too many more months of the mortgage with it being empty. So how do we do that? So we help structure that. We kind of have a program for that too, right, Tego? We've put the plan in place. We go look at the property. A lot of times these folks aren't even here, right? They're out of state or out of area. We can go look at the property, get an appointment. Selling a property with a tenant in place has some pros and cons. Some pros, the tenant might have really beautiful furnishings and keep it nice, so it shows really well, it photos really well, right? It could be. It happens. And some of the cons, sometimes tenants don't want to move out and they don't want to make it easy to see and they don't want to make it clean and neat and attractive. So they could hamper the ability to get top dollar. So having us go with you if you're in town or out of town and looking at the property and putting a plan together to see how cooperative the tenant will be. Because in New Mexico, we have to give 24 hours notice to be able to show a property that's occupied.
There's a lot to that, and tenants have rights, right? You can't just say, well, I'm going to sell the property and you have to allow to show it. It's not quite that simple.
Right. So a lot of times we've got the plan in place for right when the tenant is out, if they're not as cooperative or they don't make the house show as well, if they didn't really want to be moving out yet. But there's lots of ways to do it. And
we've seen deals where people purchase a home sight unseen with the tenant in place, and basically roll the cards. Now, if somebody does that, obviously they're going to put a dollar value on the risk if they do that. But people will do that.
That's pretty uncommon, though.